mats. You need to play the game now. Big pump from Benji on the mat so it doesn't get too much out of the way. The hard boom from Matzo. He's trying to find a way to stay alive. He hard booms the ramp and a big clap back comes through. And now it's just up to Matzo to try to keep the stream, try to get these points somewhere good for game one.
Now down to soft mat. Here, it's all important here as a solo just to hold on as much as possible. With the intense pressure here, 11 HP, gonna be able to get back to 100 HP. It does go a little bit back, so could afford a little bit breathing room as Hadi, Tripper are doing really well. We know that they're hype. That's the team that's been sitting there since Zone 5. They're lighting up the feed, and Matzo gets caught out by 4ZR's trio.
Kira's defense is also looking good. He's picking up a few eliminations, and I see Maestro all the way on low ground, so I'm wondering how they're doing entirely. Yep, that's the big wrap-up. It wasn't Nate that took them out, so low ground kings will be Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate for now. They're expanding, overbuilding, making sure they control things all the way through. Question is, what angle do they look at next? Yeah, still building in the zone. It's actually silence on the entire side of this end game. No one from height really shooting down too much. Chulek's actually in a desperate situation. He's moving through old builds. Lucky that he has these right in front of him. He's gonna have to make that luck actually work for him now. Breaking the wall. It's Baron Wasteland right in front. He goes down. Hazardous, treacherous pathways right there. He cannot triumph over. 4ZR and Nate are popping though. They get another, and Tayson's also looking healthy.
This is a great game for Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate. We've been asking this question. Will they be able to capitalize their opportunity here in the semi-final team in the top 6? Hadi picks up a lot. It's a Hadi trio versus the 4ZR trio. High ground and low. Eradicate everyone on low ground. From there on the high, they've been pressuring 24/7. Where will the Elam swap over to? Who's gonna win here? Because there's a lot of old bills in the way, and when that happens, it's really tough for Hype. 10 points are on the line, and the first victory out of the Heat 2 here in the semifinals. Now opportunity's going. 4ZR goes up, Nate goes up, Tayson on the backside here, trying to sneak up on anybody. No pressure is just being too much on the top, but Nate actually catches Tripper. Tripper goes down, and now it's a 2v3 opportunities here as Tayson and 4ZR Nate are slowly cracking their way, cracking as many builds as possible, trying to get up to the top here. This is a big metaphor for the entire ride this season. Trying to claw their way to the top of the leaderboard, which we've been waiting for all season.
Man, these guys are gonna have to go straight all the way up to the moon, and Tayson's already feeling a lot of oxygen. So much HP gone. 25 now, 15 as he tries to build his way all the way up high. They're not trying to take these guys down. They're trying to grasp the throne completely off of them, and there goes Tayson, the last desperate effort for the shoot down, but it's just his body that hits the floor. All up to 4ZR now in a 2v1 situation. The double from Tayson, and that's huge. Buddy. No way. Nate, 4ZR Tayson with a crazy setup. They built up, they planted the mines, and then Nate goes for the explosion play, a big breakdown, and they win game one. With 10 limbs with the right edge of their hand, they chop down height. And what a great plan right there. You nailed it, Shayo. I love it. Man, that was crazy. There were so many other things also happening on low. I want to see exactly how they got the elims. I think that was the craziest setup we've seen, though, in the semifinals from any region. I want to see the reactions from Zeke, Levin, and Reese on that one.
You know, I'm excited. First off, that was an incredible game. Second off, this was a Sancho prediction versus Reese prediction, okay? And not only did it come down to this, it was also all 3 members of both trios alive. Like, the tone of semifinals, gentlemen, is so different than what we've seen leading up to this point.
Yeah, the tone is so different, and usually you don't see that 3v3 in the finals where there's both teams still have plenty of materials as well. It's usually maybe one 3v2 with someone low, someone scuffed somewhere, but because Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR on low ground had 7 eliminations before that 3v3 point, they still had tons of materials left, and that's what allowed them to make that play where you saw Tayson and you also saw Nate cranking up, making the other team go higher, for Elikrat's team go even higher and higher and higher. And then 4ZR, I thought it was a heal-off play to start with, but no, they're just gonna shoot him out, knock him down, easy victory royale.
Yeah, honestly, I'm super impressed with that game, especially from sort of Tayson's side of things, right? Tayson, 4ZR, Nate, our team that came into the season with such high expectations, and you know, I've been someone who's been very critical of them. But in this first game, they've shut everyone up. You know, they've come through, they've dealt with their surge issues in at least this first game, and we've seen what can happen. If you allow these guys to get into end game in any sort of a decent scenario, right, they're just gonna have games like this where they just do come through and win. Crazy plays in the final sort of moments there as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they can sort of keep this up over the next couple of games.
And you know, 11, you use a very specific word there, expectations. I like that. I want to talk about your expectations, of you combined coming into game number 1, and how some of these early engagements may or may not have met those expectations.
Yeah, you know, my expectations this time was Seti, Cammy, and Teak potentially getting landed on, because this is exactly what has happened in the previous weeks. Because in the last actual FNCS, the exact same thing happened where they isolated Seti, who was by himself. And this is Maestro, Kira, and Serhat, who usually land retail row, and instead they just double and triple landed on the Guardian Tower, where they know Seti normally lands. And then, you know, this fight ended up being a little bit scrappy, as you see Maestro kind of taking some left-hand peeks, a little bit awkward on Teak, but ended up winning overall. If you notice, his teammates, not too much HP remaining, but still a really nice change of their strategy to pick up some elimination points.
Yeah, taking a look here over at Dirty Dogs, we sort of highlighted this at the beginning of being a place to watch out for in terms of, you know, where things are going to sort of pop off, right? Diablo, Flecken, and Bayon were obviously the team that won the reboot round out of the EU last season. This season, they're going to want to just make it all the way straight through to the finals instead of having to go for a reboot round. And at Dirty Dogs, that'll be a place to continue to watch. Tayson, Nate, and Forziardo, the winners from last game. You know, we talked about mid-game, how can these guys sort of adapt? They adapted well. They were able to get their tags, and, you know, the Storm Surge wasn't an issue for them whatsoever throughout that game. And this is what happens when they don't have to worry about Surge. They will be in first place more times than not. 10 eliminations, like Sancho said, ridiculous, but let's not forget Kira, Maestro, and Serhat in second had even more eliminations. They had a huge game starting off, you know, taking out one of the favorites in Seti, Cammy, and Teak.
Yeah, that was those 3 eliminations, but the 9 after that were all mid and end games, so they were absolutely popping off. And remember, these guys actually went down in 6th, so they were on a hot streak going through the game, but were eventually eliminated early. So imagine if they managed to keep that rolling. We could have seen a 15 elimination game coming out, but the top's starting to look really, really good. But our winners, our second place of Hottie, Illikrats, and Trippern, you know, staying on height, not being able to get as many eliminations, usually always an ammunition issue. So they're kind of down only with 5, so they are a little bit way further down that leaderboard. Ran, obviously, and Forziard, Nate, who just popped off that game.
Taking a look at that next page, though, 11th to 20th. You know, later down the line, once we get to around game 5 and 6, it's going to be really interesting to see who's here, right? Because, you know, 11th to 17th will be sort of your reboot round places. Take a look at the teams who are here, though, right? You expect a lot of these guys to maybe sort of pick things up. You know, Airwax, Sky, and Vato are definitely sort of a threat coming out of Lazy Lake. But if they're, you know, not going to have bad games and not really pick up the pace, things will not necessarily go the way you'd expect them to for them. So obviously, Egram, Voxy, and Kebo in 20th, right? They obviously are the team contesting the reboot round winners from last season. So Dirty Dogs, once again, we keep sort of mentioning it. What's going to go down there doesn't seem to have started well for Egram and them. So we'll see who sort of can continue and win out that battle at Dirty Dogs.
Well, you know, they got 5 more games, right? They can make the clapback. It can happen. But it is time once again. We are going back into the action. Don't forget, if you like what you're seeing, watch.fortnite.com. You can see the leaderboards, take part in some trivia, and lose to me. But otherwise, you know what time it is. More Fortnite action. Sancho, Shy Wager, back over to you guys.
Wait, is there a way you could top that game, Sancho? I mean, that was just the start of the day. It's about to get crazier.
It was world-class performance from Tayson's trio, 10 eliminations and the Victory Royale. But let me go ahead and spit you this fact. In the previous heat, we've had so many teams have Victory Royales and not make it through the top 6. We even had one trio who got a Victory Royale, didn't make it to the top 17. So the work has just started, but the foundation is there for 4ZR. It's game 2 time.
Now, I'm seeing the planning come through. I'm seeing some tactics being used. Not any desperation, so to say, right? So that was a very good look from Nate overall. Good setup from Tayson all the way as well, all the way up top. So I'm liking the things I'm seeing from this trio, especially towards that end game. The desk also mentioned a lot of their action is coming through from the mid and end game. They're uncontested. They should get to that point. This should be a very good day for them.
Yeah, you know, Sweaty Sands is usually an oasis for many teams in the EU. A lot of championship pedigree coming from there, especially in the France side of things. But it turned quick into quicksand for Tayson's trio. They clashed a lot with Teak and Seti and Cammy and in-game, and things just didn't work out. Storm Surge being a ghoul to their run, all these kinds of things. But so far, it's returning back to that oasis. The water is coming back for them.
For them, yeah, but look at all the struggles for everyone else. You got Elder, Rehas, Letrick over here, Freddy also in the mix. They've had a little bit of a rough spot coming through in the early game last time. It's looking a little bit more, you know, bureaucratic. It's looking a little bit more official to some black tie type event. There's no bar fights happening so far.
Yeah, you know, this is a current thing that it kind of happens to the EU region. If this is your first time watching the EU broadcast, essentially is the EU region, some of them kind of chill out, but the action starts picking up around game 2 and 3. You'll start taking more engagements. Last time we saw a lot of late rotations, so you're gonna, hey, the easy answer would be like, well, let's just push them earlier. Maybe we don't have to rotate so late. And that's how Kizzy, Jerky, and Trulix here coming from that Flash Factory split, getting Melody's trio out, which we did see last time. They were sitting pretty on Storm Edge, but now the fortunes are reversed.
And they have a lot of options rolling into things when it comes to their drop. They're letting, as you mentioned, their Flush Factory, looking at the Hydro 16 drop as well. There's so many people on the Misty Hills. They can go to Slurpee as well. Looks like they kind of edge towards the right this time. Ends up with a free Elim, ends up with 2 actually, and they're going to be rolling through with a lot more loot this game.
I want y'all guys to focus on Force. Force is one of those guys we saw earlier who had that late rotation, eating all the stingfish. Force just got another knock in the feed. That's one of those names that you have to keep an eye out for, because like I was very impressed when I was doing some Rod reviews. And Sayo, it's your favorite thing. What kind of zone is this, my guy?
This is a little bit of a mirror type zone. You know how it rolls. You know, I'm trying to get that term out of here. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, it keeps showing up. Yeah, it's a little bit similar to what we saw in the previous game. I'm not sure exactly we end up on that northern type hill again. This EU has this pattern though. Sometimes, I think I was talking about this with Levin, you see the first zone, that is the zone for the rest of the tournament. So I guess everyone's got to buckle up. Here we go.
And the adjustments are going to be vital, and how you rotate dead side, you go white line it, all those adjustments will be made. Elder is out for this trio. Rehas and Lekwick now are in a deficit in the manpower, but they get a big 53 tag right here to open it up. Another 64, the tag right there, just putting some decent damage, 100 just to scout Lekwick. But Lekwick, look at the movement here with the confidence of a purple pump, getting right in and causing some big hits on the other time.
Yeah, he's going up, down, left, and right, hitting shots all the time at the same way. And right now, Cried goes down. Rios with a full finish. Viper in trouble. Freddy running away at 50 HP. They're down bad, and we got a 2v2.
2v2 situation. This is the second game here. Adjustments are being made right here. More engagements, more box fights, more towards the center. Last time we saw this kind of fight, it was happening way down south. He got a little bit too aggressive, and that led to late rotations. So these are the adjustments that our teams are making on the fly. They only have 6 games to work with, and when you only have 6, you can't afford to have bad 2 games. We've seen a couple of 2 games kind of ruin a lot of runs for a lot of these trios if you look at their match history, as Letwick is rebooting Elder.
For Rios, Letwick, and Elder right now, if you're looking at the one that Dave's going to overall 16th place finish, 5 eliminations. They're looking for consistency, I feel like, off of this performance, especially if they're going to be early fighting every single time. They do look like the stronger team coming in, but every time you're contested, anything can happen. They can't afford to miss a single game if they want to hit top 6. So we'll see what ends up going down. For the rest of the teams, yeah, Elder, 21 points all the way at first. It's 4-0 Taste and Nate with 50. They're looking really good. It's kind of a 20-point race in the top 5. We have Kira, Meister, and Surhat right behind them. We're talking about their aggression all game, getting an Elim basically off of every single trio that took shots at. So it's looking really good. I'm just looking at who can really be consistent now. These guys, I guess their game plan's not even to play out the full game. They want to eradicate this trio before they do anything else.
Here it comes, the big diesel semi truck going right through. Oh, yeah, I was he's trying to find some solace in the bush, but Viper trying to strike. Unfortunately, he gets defanged right then and there by Letwick, Elder, and Rehas, moving through very nicely here. This trio, newly formed this season. This is their first time in a set lobby. All their runs in the season in the qualifier stage ended in round 3, getting as close as the 42nd spot. So you know they have them in them. And you talked about consistency. Consistency got a lot of these trios here through the series points. But that consistency so far has not been enough. You're going to have to work your way through. You're going to have to kind of do your personal best, your PR, so to speak. Deadlift your way to your own personal record to be able to get into that top 6, even into that top 17. It looks like
have less loot. You can see it in the inventory, 2 open slots, but there's definitely a lot of free space around the map, especially around Lazy Lake. This dock right here with the house is huge for these guys to get some free extra chests here and there. Escanor, Chashi, lots of people also moving around from retail. Anyone basically contested is looking to get these extra spots and get their loot in while they're looking for tags.
This is where it's dangerous for Cammy, Seti, and Teak. I mean, we already hinted at it in the previous match in last season. In the end of day one, child, remember they were the #1 team. They were looking really good. In those first 3 games, they just got split up and dropped on, and they were able to get taken out so easily. So that's so amazing. Like, the Cammy split has been revered. A lot of people know about it here in the competitive scene. This is your first time knowing about it. It's just one of those splits that just affords you to be able to kind of get your, like, kind of sneak your way to a very strong loadout. But there is holes in it, and you already saw a taste of what those holes can be. Now we're going on to my prediction of Elo, Kratz, Hottie, and Tripper. Reason why I predict this trio to do well, so I was considering that they come from Cranky Clips, but they always have the tendency to pop off in the last 2 games. So even though, you know, that first game right there, that's really good sign for them, considering the previous rounds, they kind of fell early and they kind of got low placement points. So coming in 2nd place, I see that as a W for them.
Yeah, they're always the ones to kind of shadow a different trio, roll in, and look really good all the way towards the very end. It was a nice attempt all the way towards that last game. You know, on height, they looked really nice, targeting 1 trio at a time. When it came down to it, though, it's very seldom you see a trio really stay that high, risk the shoot down. Ended up happening. It was unfortunate that in the 2v1. I feel like, though, in this specific lobby, there's not really a trio that can stop them, especially on the north side. So this should be pretty free to do what they want to do.
Searhat, Maestro, and Kira in the previous match had 12 elims and came in 6th place. That got them into 2nd place. They landed on Seti, Teak. Now they're somewhere else. So you're just seeing that their game plan is to kind of maybe take advantage of people that are vulnerable, doing scavenger routes, doing these very dramatic splits. Here at Risky Reels, there is a split between here and the Blue Bridge. So we're getting into further into the action zone 2. I'm not going to say the word. I'm not trying to say that N word, but it's a replicant of the previous game here, going a little bit north. So we're going to maybe expect the same thing, but we already saw in the previous little kind of scenes ago, Tripper's trio is being kind of messed with. So it's not as free as it was last time.
Definitely type of a mirror situation here. And if people do end up pulling a little bit more north again, even if it looks like a good game plan, you know, having 12 elims, they look really hot last game. Every fight comes at a cost, so they have to be very careful, especially if they have momentum, to not get overconfident and step over their bounds.
Right, and you know, Trulix's and Queasy and Jerky, we did see a taste of them last game. They were on the low ground. You know, that's not where they want to be. They want to be breathing on that penthouse and that high ground. They always play for it. They always go for it around the 5th zone, and they're always looking really good. We saw them in the qualifying rounds. They were dominant. We kind of mentioned they won their first victory royale. They were able to net a couple, maybe I think 2 or 3. I'm not quite sure, but from what I remember, we all thought they'd be able to get in, and then they slipped out. So this is going to be an opportunity to get into that top 6 right here, right now, which if we were doing top 6 when they're qualifiers, they wouldn't be able to get in, but it was top 3 then.
The timing is so tough for every team on the leaderboards, in game as well. Even something as small as a reboot. You see Melody's team down below in this gorge. They were one of the first, or Melody was one of the first players to get taken out on the map out of the 2 trios that went down. I guess theirs didn't, and they got Melody's reboot card. They got everyone out, but that timing led them to actually end up rotating late. Now they're stuck in one of the worst spots you can be. At the same time, Edison, Joey Jenner, and Lewis, they're kind of pushing them really hard. They're trying to get the 2 elims. They might be setting them up to maybe pick them off later as they move in the storm. They're going to be kind of late rotating in as well. And we saw how tough it was for, you know, 20 of the trios who were stuck last game on the bottom side of the map. Hopefully they don't fall into the same pattern this time, because Versifix Zini kind of in the same situation we saw them before. Same spot for Kira as well. For Joy, Micha rolling in here is kind of a new territory. We didn't really see them at this specific spot in game 1, but their loadout's also looking really good. They got the cabbages, the 50 pots, weapons. They're looking good on all fronts. It seems like we're getting into the same situation as game 1, though. Everyone's kind of getting towards the south spot and not really moving forward.
And Joy's trio that we're seeing here at behind the movie screen, this is their first time here in the set lobby, so they're trying to turn their fate into it. Manu's trio has been a set lobby before, but they were in the bottom of the leaderboard, so they're going to have to make their way up the leaderboard. Of course, this time around, Trulix, Queasy, Jerky here being pressured by some stings. Right now, so far, only 2 trios gone down. Nothing crazy has happened this time around. Last time we saw Seti's trio go down early, and right now Diablo's trio looks like it's being out by Ingram, but no kind of big surprises. This is all zones. You end up seeing the doesn't work. Let's try this. This is a much more safer route. As you're taking a look at this Lux's trio, sitting pretty good, 332 above. Storm Surge will be a factor in zone 3. That means 70 players. Once it hits that threshold, it turns off. So 13 players, doesn't matter what trio you're part of, 13 players will have to go down here in this next zone.
That's a big overflow of people on the map right now. Gonna have to do damage or you get dealt damage. 82, 81 now, the number on the top left. Sirhart just trying to drop down beams. He's 196 damage below. You see that number on the right side. Now it's 200. Now it's 10 above. So someone definitely landed a big pump. Yeah, it's Kira on the backside. They found another close range elimination. That is their pattern today. That's their play style. It's box to box, wall to wall. And there goes Sirhat again. No pepper needed to be popped anymore. He's still on that high speed. He's gonna find Vovi Fish. Big Elam, they're gonna be able to get the full cypher for that as well. Another big shot from Sirhat. He's kind of like invading his own box. It's kind of crazy. It's hard to predict where he's gonna come from. And he picks up 2, keeps his trio now in a completely different spot. Maestro's down and Kira's 1 HP. It's looking kind of disastrous on that side. They can definitely try to come back, play as a 2-man squad looking towards the end of this game.
And it's going to be difficult for them to replicate their 12 elim run that they had in the previous match, being down a player here. This is game 2, moving forward here. Let's see who's going to be able to come. You see Lewis trio out in the distance. Lewis is one of those people that's been to the finals before, hasn't made it to round 4 this season, so looking for a way to return to glory here, as we're seeing Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR, who had a great game 1, able to return to glory, and they see that a team's being pressured here. So this is going to be dangerous stuff for Tayson, though. A team is desperate. They could go ahead and push in, and they have to be careful here. But hey, this might be too much, man. It might be too much. It's going to claim it. He's going to get out. Yeah, they see it. Yeah,
they're gonna have the strength of mosquitoes with that HP. They're gonna get swatted straight up. Like, there's no chance. Yeah, there goes Frizzy. He's down 2. It's actually unfortunate that Nate will have a few shields to maybe use as well. Those guys were pretty down bad on loot, but that's a very good situation for them. Might see another game win on 2. It's a very big boost to get free loot at this point in the game.
You're kind of seeing the tale of the 2 type of trios that we have. Veteran trios who know how to navigate Storm Surge really well, who know how to do positioning, and first timers here in the set lobbies who are still trying to figure out the rotations, still trying to figure out Storm Surge plans in this high pressure situation. It's not easy being in the FNCS, and especially made it this far in the semifinals. We're talking about the premiere of Fortnite competitive.
Game 1 took us down towards the middle top right of the map. Now we'll be closer to Pleasant Park entirely. So might see some house gameplay, might see some big refarms come through, might see a spot where you get a little bit of a boost as well for some of the top trios that like to win early games.
And maybe we'll see Benji's trio in the end game. This is their backyard. They need to defend it. Defend Pleasant Park.
Now we always see sometimes Sweaty Sands getting a little bit overzealous early game, breaking into Bony Burbs. Sometimes even Pleasant Park if they're feeling a little bit spicy. Queasy Trulux are also no strangers to winning that early game. There's so much chaos though on the map. Stinks being thrown. Jimkey almost down. Fork absolutely just eviscerated by all this pressure. This is just so tough. I'm surprised Mika doesn't take big shots. So yeah, he got damaged so hard. It's so risky to go for that loot when everyone's still shooting, right? Builds are so hard to place in this moment. And there's so many eyes on that spot too. The harpoon's coming in from high ground. There's no chance you're gonna get out here unscathed.
And this is going to be a vital rotation for the most of the lobby here, considering that they're all on this storm edge here. It's going to be crucial for them to make the right choice to move in here, like Tayson's trio, who's in front of this entire congestion point. As you can see on the mini map on the bottom right, take a look. It's again so many trios late rotating through.
Man, on the bottom, it looks like everyone's just waiting for a bus to come, but like the last 3 have missed. There's so many different people trying to make this rotate. This is going to be so tight.
And it could be the confidence of those trios here, not knowing exactly when to rotate, not understanding the type of situation when to go, and that is creating this waiting at the bus stop.
Yeah, you see 4-0 has the experience, though. He moves first. No one even shoots at him. Everyone's too scared to edit. We see Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky actually taking their time. Get a little bit extra brick on Trulex's side. He'll actually make sure to move in late. They have so many more builds to work with, too. They're moving out on the bottom right. 4-0 is already based up, though. From a place they just were 20 seconds ago, now they're beaming everyone they were just rightfully beside. This is huge shots. The boat does not connect from 4-0, but they have a multi-level base. So many edits they can make, and they're kind of trapping people to base up right next to them.
A quick question, Shayo. Do you rather rotate through a bunch of builds in front of you or open space?
I mean, right now, if you try to go through open space, people like 4-0 are going to try to pick you off. There's so many other trios, you got to remember, Sancho, who've had this zone. They're waiting. Right. They're hungry. They're trying to take shots too, right? So the left is not up for grabs. The right is the risk you haven't even evaluated yet. You just have to go through. You have to go forward hand in hand. And that's where 4-0, Nate, and Tayson are waiting.
And it looks like so many trios have white lined it right into the south side, right on that south point right there. And that is where 4-0, Nate, and Tayson are sitting really well above Storm Surge. That's not going to be a concern. They just have to be careful, not make unnecessary edits, but they're always looking for elims. We all know how aggressive Tayson can be, and Tayson's the kind of champion that will find eliminations when the opportunity presents itself.
The zone will affect a lot of people around right now. Everyone's kind of staying on zone's edge. No one's claiming the spot on the middle of the map. Everyone's gambling for the pull to come towards their side, either be controllers of the lobby or fall down to max zone. And there it is. It looks like Vato Skite have zone. I see one of the marks here. It could be someone rolling in, but right above them, right beside is we see Queasy, we see Trulex. They can also have a chance of clapping back.
Already we saw Queasy's trio invest in this height, not kind of come through. We saw Benji's trio on the west side kind of invest in height, not come through. So all these trios that invested are not going to be able to capitalize on that. And there's only probably one trio that has height, and that is Tripper's trio that's coming from the Craigises. So far, Tripper's trio has pulled 2 fifth circles here, so that's going to be a nice opportunity here as Janwood does get a knock on Queasy here by Siberia, Jake, and Sapphic. Siberia here trying to get through here. Sapphic out really low, less than 25 HP here, Shayo.
And this is just a very strange situation because it's 6 seconds till the zone moves, and these guys are essentially almost max full. Queasy's down. Trulex might even have to leave him behind. There's no really chance for a res here. This zone's going to be moving fast. Jerky's on the same wall as Siberia. They're taking shots. Sappic's like, I'm getting out of here. I don't even care. Siberia's up behind. He gets beamed. This is just so bad for so many different trios. Too hesitant to move. They run into each other. Now it's just Sapphic. 25 effective HP, and he gets rolled over.
Just imagine a race with only 4 lanes, and there's about 20 cars on this race trying to make their way through.
Oh my
Look
God.
at the collisions that are happening left and right. So much destruction derby that's happening right here. That's what happens when you decide to wait on your low rotation as Jerky picks up K-Wet right then and there. But now it's up to Trulex and Jerky here to survive this contention here. So much loot to go back. Dips back into the cookie jar, but he gets taken out. Now it's up to Trulex, who is sitting at a much safer zone above the chaos from down below, but now all by himself as a solo.
Man, that spot on the bottom left of the map, I was so hyped to watch because all the big names were there. Every single trio that we've set up to kind of redeem themselves, who've tripped up like that over and over, have basically set up there. I'm like, that's the place to watch. They're all down, but there's still a few big names left.
But you know who's not there? Tayson's trio. They rotated early and they're looking really good. And again, another North Pool. So everybody's going to compact in each other, and there's going to be more chaos left in this match.
9 seconds to see exactly if the people who shot up all the way towards the first place slot, 4-0, Tayson, and Nate, actually deserve it. Can they hold on to it? And can anyone else make their mistakes from game 1 look so much better in game 2?
Trulex is in a vital stretch. All he has to do is just hold on. Not necessarily get elims. They already have a lot about Akira's on his backside. So Trulex here just trying to get as much placement points as possible. Already in the second threshold of placement points. Every placement point is going to tick in and net a point for Trulex's trio. So this is going to be a huge performance from Trulex.
He's already dipping back into the storm to get a little bit of a tick down. To be able to utilize that met kit for an off heal. Might have to come in early because this is a really far
great
pull. Still, he's so late. Yeah, there's so many people who kind of
no one's looking at him.
Free. And so far, I've counted 3 trios that have gone down. He's definitely accruing all that placement, but all the way up ahead, look at all the people getting the elims. There's a chance for Seti and Teak to clash with 4-0, Tayson, and Nate all the way down below. Tripper is on the middle ground now. Actually, Seti, Cammy, and Teak have upgraded to be on that spot. The off heals come in from Trulex. Wasn't at the right time.
No builds. Just no builds.
Fall trap. He goes straight down.
Tayson's on the front of the zone here on the low ground once again. Can this be a back-to-back performance as the Storm is pulling back? And look at already Tayson making his way up the elevation here, understanding the treacherous path that's ahead here. Cammy said in Teak, this is their first time in the in-game here in game 2. They went down early here, but you're seeing how suffocating it can be on the low ground when there's a mountain involved here. But Seti's making some great movement here, some great movement up the side of the mountain here on this elevation. But look, he's gonna try to cut off Tayson. Can he get there? He doesn't. He almost is there. Yes, he's just about to cut off, but it's just with weak mats here. So that means Tayson could still cut it off. Looks like Tayson saw that cut off and he moved a little bit now. Tayson's in front of that build.
That definitely a race between the two low ground trios, but as we say that, Hottie takes down Forward ZR.
Wow.
So no matter how fast you're building, if you lose a wheel, it's gonna be all over for your trio on momentum.
And that was above them. Remember, Hottie was on mid ground, so Hottie's trio looked down below and picked them off.
Sunny and Cammy both get another pick as well as a duo. I think that was 2 elims from them on their side. So now there's 2 very powerful duos on low ground, 8 different teams to watch, and some solo clutches already happening at this moment. Swipe takes out Seti. Caljo still looking to clutch so far right now. Seti's completely taken out now. Sweat gets traded back by Tripper, and Caljo goes down to the storm. 2 Tripper again, so he's operating on low as well. He goes down to Vato inside the same box all the way on height. These guys are just watching. They're merely just watchers, not even making sure they have any much of a say on anyone on low ground. Height's basically invisible. Skyte's got big picks. Hottie gets Vato again. Low ground is so volatile that Cammy's forced to go for the medkit play. Now he looks to drop down below. What's he gonna find? A little bit of chaos. There's a little bit of a river all the way on the bottom, so no one's actually taking it just yet. Nate is surviving what looks like with Tayson right now. They have a little bit of low control, but Cammy's opened up a door. He's looking for the next shot. Bo Stink right there, and Casper going down in front of him. This is a sneaky shot. He can land, and he does.
Oh my!
A huge one for Cammy, but he gets traded out instantly.
Hottie has been getting so many elims in the feed here, I guess from the grave here, but oh my goodness, what a big elimination from Tayson. Now a solo star trying to rock away. 8 elims so far for the trio here. It's a top 3 situation. Victory out gets a 4-point bonus here, so this is going to be a big game to kind of compartmentalize with that first game that Tayson, Forziar, and Nate have here, and he catches, but Hottie is still alive. I just didn't see him. Hottie, he gets Tayson too. Are you kidding me?
He's absolutely insane. A 180 shot on the Nate. Big shots on the Tayson, but it's not enough to win. The invisible trio all the way on height. 6 eliminations. Nexus will take the VR in game 2.
6 elims in the Victory Royale. They were being spectators for a long time in game, and then put them right opportunity to kind of make their presence known to get that Victory Royale. But I just didn't see, I saw Hottie in the feed, didn't see him at all, and he just comes out of nowhere and snatches Tayson. What a great game.
He was 180 shooting. It was crazy, but that was a little bit of a mysterious game. We're going to need the help of Zeke, Levin, and Reese to show us some of the things we missed in game 2.
Guys, thank you so much. Great cast on the day. You guys are already on point. We still have another 4 games, and I'm excited about it. Okay, there was a lot of things happening, but once again, gentlemen, we see the traditional high ground win games. But again, you know, Levin, Sancho's pick, they're making that 2nd place run. Twice back to back.
I'm going to tell you exactly what kind of day this is going to be. This is a day for Tayson's trio, for Elokratz's trio to just absolutely roll through everybody. Like, what is that? Like, both of these teams in certain moments looked like it wasn't really going to go too well. Like, when Forzia went down, I was thinking, oh no, that trio's things aren't going to go well for that trio. When Trippin went down for Elokratz's trio, I was thinking, oh no, Trippin's gone down. But these guys still find a way to have incredibly good games. And of course, right, the high ground team there does obviously win things out, but you know, if those 2 teams in particular are going to just continue to have these kind of games, it's wraps for everybody else. Like, those 2 are realistically just going to say 1st and 2nds for the whole day.
Yeah, and for Tayson's team, like, when they don't have that momentum coming into the first 2 games, we've seen them kind of flop in 2 of the qualifiers so far. But when you look at Cash Cups extras, as soon as they get that steam rolling, they're in the station. They're way ahead of everyone else. So I'm really excited to see how they play out the next 4 games as well. They've been playing on their best game right now.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of like a mirror of a mirror, shy wager, of game 1, because we saw Hottie's trio once again placed in that 2nd position, but it was a very different situation, right? In this game, they made it that 2nd, but in game 1, they got chopped. I'm still like just thinking about that game and how crazy that was.
Yeah, let's go through and break down that kind of final moment between the top two teams, who I'm guessing will still be first and second right now coming into this. So you can see Trippern ends up actually dropping too far down low from high ground and gets punished for this. You can see Nate on the other side picking him up, unfortunately, now making this a 2v3 fight rather than a 3v3. But now notice, this is what high ground's looking like right now. You can see on height, we have Hottie and Elocrat still all the way up here in this kind of very awkward position. However, down below, right here, this is where we have Nate and Tayson, who are pressuring on the teams up above. So if we delete this, keep moving, the one thing we haven't seen from this angle is all the way down on this low ground, right at the bottom end zone here is where 4ZR is sitting. So he's sitting down here ready, and this team is pressuring them. They're pushing them way up. You can see continually moving higher and higher and higher. And at this moment, Tayson is low on white HP, so he sacrifices himself. But Nate, no, he's sitting with a med kit in the back of the zone. You can see he comes out the back, sprays down, chops out from above, and this is the moment that picks up the huge victory royale. And even if this did not happen from this moment, 4ZR was there on the low ground with the heal off to do the exact same. What a beautiful play. I have not seen some of that in a long time. And look how it's affected the leaderboards from game 1 and the consistency through to game number 2 as well. They are first.
Yeah, you can see the first two teams, like I said, man, 4ZR, Tayson, Nate, Hottie, Elocrats, and Trippin. If they're just going to continue to play like the way they played in the first two, they will just be here for the rest of the day. But looking below that, Kira, Maestro, and Serhat, they've managed to stay in that sort of top 3 for the meantime. Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki had a good game as well. And, you know, all around, you know, once again, still a lot of the teams who you'd expect to sort of be in here. Look, I mentioned Airwax, Sky, and Vato needed to sort of pick up the pace. They have, right? They're sitting in 6th right now. It's still early days, but all around, I'm liking what I'm seeing around the leaderboard. The winners from last game, Next, Screwy, and Fusion's not a team that many had high expectations of coming into today, right? You know, but, you know, they've managed to pick up a victory royale, which is going to do them well, especially in terms of confidence if they aren't able to get top 6 going into a reboot round type situation. So all round, you know, I've loved the way things have played out so far.
Yeah, the first 2 games has been really exciting so far. But moving over to the second page, you know, we see Seti Kami Teak down in 14th. This is a team that we have to be keeping an eye on because they had a huge pop off that game. You know, we watched it happen, but again, we also watched them go down in the first game being contested. So my guess is they kind of got jumped on in that first game. That's going to slow them down a bit, but this game they've clearly fixed whatever issues they had there surrounding their drop at the Kami split. They've implemented that this game, and now they're way more consistent. But for this team, they need to be getting further into the top 3s and the seconds for their playstyle. That's what they do best. But every week that we've seen them so far, they keep going down 5th and 6th, which are not just getting as highest placement points as possible. So that 5th that they got there, 6 eliminations, fantastic. They need to keep it up and potentially get a little bit higher up as well.
Look, I don't know if that's possible right now, okay? Because apparently game number 1 and 2, Tayson's trio, 1st and 3rd. And then you look right over across the way, Hottie's trio, both seconds back to back. So these guys have momentum. The question is, can they keep that going in the remaining games? It is time once again. We are getting ready to jump into the next game here in EU of the FNCS semifinals. This is heat number 2. And you know what time it is. We got to go hang out with our boys. It's Sunchowist. It's Shy Wager, guys. Let's do this again. I want more action. Back your way.
Hey, Levin said it best. It's basically a fight between the top 2, a duel, a showdown, an ISO fight. Sancho, these guys are head to head.
Yeah, we have the battle between the old guard and the new guard. Hottie kind of making a big appearance here this season versus, of course, 4ZR's trio. We all know about them, but that's what I love about the FNCS and its open format. Anybody could be a champion if you put the time in.
Absolutely, and right now people are trying to get on that track fast. Already a team, almost going down. Lufu and Zeiku are just fighting off spawn immediately. Trades taken either way, and the people in first place, 4ZR, Tayson, and 8, the big trio, haven't even touched the ground yet.
This is only game 3, so a lot of trios are throwing haymakers early. They're trying to move up their leaderboard as much as possible here. Usually you see this frenetic place in about game 5, but it's already started early here with game 3, considering top 6 advance. Top 17 gets the reboot round, so there's going to be a lot of trios who are being ousted here in this stage.
Yeah, tough for a lot of the guys who are kind of near 20th, 30th place. They're going to have to start that catch-up, run-back type of story now. This game is where you have to really turn it around. We're talking about adjusting last game. Now it's time to just change things. If they're not working, go to the secondary drop. If you're really trying out one specific way to play the game, we've had the same zone basically twice. It's time to go for option D instead of A, B, and C. I mean, for these guys, Nate, 4ZR, and Tayson, they're staying on track A in Heat 2 completely. Sweaty Sand so free. Now they're searching up towards the pier. They're not even on each other's screens for a majority of their looting path. And then when they finally get together, Sancho, it is a free ride to height.
I really feel like this trio is gaining their confidence again. I mean, 4ZR is coming off his DreamHack Duos championship with his old former teammate Kezik, so that kind of championships underneath your belt will definitely set you up for the FNCS. And not to mention, this trio has been just destroying it in the Cash Cups and the Cash Cups Extra, so that kind of confidence is definitely working their way through, showing itself here at the FNCS stage here. And that kind of confidence is definitely going to be needed here for those trios, like Manu's trio that we're watching here, down here in Logjam. That confidence needs to be able to prepare you to be able to work outside your, like I mentioned, your personal best. You got to get into the top 6. Manu, Crow, they made it to that set lobbies in round 4, but they kind of had a, like I mentioned, a low placement.
And it's so cool to see how different heats end up working out. I think it was in Heat 1, X-Ace trio is getting contested here 24/7 at Logjam, and it was tough. Okay, I guess heats aren't actually that different. Heat 2 is the same thing. It's not going to be a direct 50-50 contest, but Dynamite's going to be being thrown. It's going to be a mid-range fight here inside the woodworking industry, surrounded by more than just nature's weapons. These guys are going to be in such tough trouble. Manu, KK Wet, and Crow. It's so hard to rotate out of here when a trio's actually holding you in.
And it's always a little bit harder when you kind of newly formed this season. They just got here, so they're still working out a little bit, iron out the wrinkles.
Yeah, and we're talking about, you know, game 3 is the game for change. You're gonna want to stay alive this game and try to have an impact, right? I think both these teams are kind of in that 20-point range, sub 20 points. This is the clapback game. None of them should really go down here.
All right, here. The tension is still there. We're getting closer to the midway point. Manu, K-Wet, and Crow trying to feel out this game here. Action still popping off here down at the Slurp Factory here. Elder, Letwick, and Viper's trio have been going back and forth here. Now we're going to finally get a first sighting of a south zone. Elder there, cracks shield. Now on the back foot here, Viper here trying to crack on through. When you're only down to a gray makeshift, not a lot of firepower. He's going to try to brush the quick craft upgrade here. Anything is better than this gray makeshift in this situation.
They can hear that, though. They know there's a little bit of trouble, but it's up to Rios to basically be the line that defends, you know, this entire trio on their box right here. I'm wondering when the clash actually comes through. There have been shots taken back and forth in the Slurpee fight. Nothing's really hit just yet. A desperate attempt from Elder to try to hit something. Freddy's not really happy about that. Get back down in the basement, my friends. Try again.
This is definitely a standard defensive stance here from Letwick. We've seen so many trios kind of retreat back into these warehouses, Shio.
We'll try again in just a little bit. Can't really go anywhere, and they have zone for the first time, so will be a long fight. Still looks like no one's really hit. A little bit of a stalemate, but ammo's still kind of being used. Letwick, I would say, was kind of at the advantage, getting fast mats, but we see Viper doing the same. And there's the disengage. I was wondering when it was going to happen, but he's kind of lagging back to see a few of the shots, but I guess both trios have to play this game.
You know, when the zone definitely does pull your way, you're seeing trios kind of be a little bit more aggressive, considering that they could afford to kind of see the fight all the way throughout. But Freddy's trio decides to, let's go ahead and disengage, work our way through, maybe get a better position in zone 2 here. As you can see, another trio's out in the distance there in Weeping Woods. We all know that's a very great spot, that little kind of hill for Weeping Woods right next to that gas station. You could get some nice Storm Surge tags. But it looks like another stalemate, as Shio mentioned, but that's Matso's trio making their way through. The stalemate is about to get entered into a third-party situation here, and Freddy's trio, who choose intelligently to disengage, will be the meat of the sandwich here if Letwick's trio decides to push forward.
These guys are going to be holed up the entire time. You got free shields all the way around. Going to be looking at doing quests. Going to be looking at just making sure everything's farmed up. Looks like they're almost done when it comes to Viper's trio on getting all their metal up. But yeah, as Matzo tries to roll in, he gets beamed. Freddy's ready right now for any type I don't know, irregular activity going on around him. He's kind of been the person all the way on the highest elevation of the trio, even inside that mini box fight. It was like 2 layers up. He's looking for the beams, and he's spotting the differences between 2 pictures, circling them out and winning at this, you know, shoot off mini game.
Freddy's trio in 27th place at the moment, so really far outside the top 17. So getting these eliminations would be very valuable, consider they're 2 points. And right now, this is the kind of thing you got to turn it around. I always see game 6 is like those kind of a string of games. You got to work in pairs. You could have a set of 2 good games, 2 bad games. And it's all about eliminating those 2 bad games. Every trio that I've seen throughout the entire FNCS, and especially in this heat, they always have a slew of 2 bad games.
Ekanal, Matsu, and Ruru are trying to get that fixed right now. It's going to be a 5-party fight here. This is going to go crazy. Gas can thrown in the mix. No one has builds now. If they did, they're gone. Going to have to rebuild straight up, and already on metal, it's looking rough. Manu, not like this. Another big shot. Now switched over to wood. You don't want that when there's fire. Canel's looking in for the edit. Sees Crow, doesn't actually get the shot off fast. And it looks like it's just these 2. There should be a few people in Slurpee maybe coming through in a sec, but yeah, one of the guys from the other trio just completely runs away. And now it looks like a favorable 3v3 for Ruru's team.
This entire wedge right here, all these trios are 24th place and down. So you're seeing the effects of taking these engagements early on. They're not only, you know, yeah, they win the engagement, but they're costing them in the grand picture of the semifinals here. They're going to have to make some adjustments because this right here so far will not work for them for the rest of the way.
One big Elam though comes through, and Ruru might be able to pick up the materials from that. Kick it wet, also caught all the way on the backside. This is going to be looking good for the control for this team. Already doubled, almost going for tripling their points if they get these Elams too. Now Ruru's trying a little bit more of a direct approach. Got to be careful once you get inside these boxes though. That's where edits can come by fast and you catch yourself a little bit off guard.
Yeah, this trio here, Canel's first time on the broadcast, they're kind of nice. You're seeing them taking walls. You're seeing them use the gas canister. They're kind of nice with it.
Yeah, but then what happened in the first 2 games? These guys are rolling in with like 6 points. Like, was it the zones?
I'm saying the mechanics are there, right? The mechanics are there. Maybe their positioning may not be there just yet. Remember, a lot of new trios in the set lobby, but they're here for a reason, and they're putting a lot of pressure on Manu's trio.
I like to see it. I like to see it. And right now, if Canal's not careful, might take shots from another trio rolling in. This one's no stranger. No. Looking at finals, semifinals, first game wins. This is going to be trouble for everyone on this side if this fight doesn't finish fast. I feel like Canal knows who it is too. He's now running. What happened to confidence? Sasha, where are the mechanics at? What happened?
Yo, dude, it's like all of a sudden you see the big dude just stand up, and all of a sudden it's Queasy True, like, you know, like, oh, wait a minute, now the big guy's into this fight. Everyone clears out. All right, we're done here. Dad's home. We're gonna go to bed here. We're out. We're out.
Oh man, but it was such a huge fight for them to win if they could have closed it out.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man.
90 points in first place. They have only 10. They really need to come back. And yeah, even if the mechanics are good, if you can't utilize them, get inside the box, it's tough to really, you know, exploit those mechanics and do anything with them. Game 2 winners though, next is Screwy. These guys are trying to make their first FNCS final of all time. You were talking about it, right? We're seeing some newcomers rolling in. I was talking about it earlier, the spotlight on some rising stars. Yeah, this is the time to do it. They got that first win. But then once again, you can see kind of, you know, the effects of being a first-time competitor. That win wasn't flashy. It wasn't, you know, anything crazy like we've seen before. I called them the invisible trio on height because they weren't having that much of an effect. It worked out in the end, but we see it all the time, Sancho. The wins, the first places, the top 6s, you need the Elams.
Right, and at the same time, you know, we already kind of pointed out there's about 6 trios that with their history and with their performances, they could get in. We know that, you know, the Matsos and then of course the Queasies, like those trios, they should get in. That's what we're saying here. They should get it all on social media. They should get in. It's these trios like Nexus Trio that we haven't heard of yet. They could make some big changes in that leaderboard, and they can make appearance in the finals, and that's hype.
Very hopefully. Right now they're in 8th place, 42 points. Right beside them, some of the people they're trying to, you know, be in the same lane as. You got Syphic, Siberia, Irazumi. We got Amplify, Matzo, and Benji very close to them, 5 points away. They're running into trouble with that trio, actually, when it comes to Matzo. Kind of trading a few licks here and there. Screwy Infusion's taking a little bit of damage. Gonna be good for Matzo's trio. For these guys, not so much. 313 above, it's good right now. But as we've seen, as soon as we get to the next surge threshold, we need 50 players alive in that 4th, 5th zone. You're gonna need to double this at least.
And we're seeing the metaphor in motion right here. The battle between Amplify's trio and Nexus trio. The old guard versus the new blood sitting toe to toe, standing at each other here. You're seeing right now, Amplify is trying to make their way through. So it's kind of reversed here. They're trying to push their way through, but they're being held out. Nexus trio is being held out by that big wall for Matzo. So it's quite fascinating to see how this all play out. And looks like Nexus is gonna have to retreat back into the storm.
Man, I don't know about this one. I always say that every fight, every shot and engagement is a conversation. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are in trouble, but the way they're playing is basically in this conversation saying, hey, we're scared. We're not confident totally in the fight. This actually might be a smart move overall. But Matzo might follow these guys in knowing that they never took a single shot back at them at all. And Matzo was completely exposed on his ramp. So smart rotation still, but it looks like their confidence is kind of faltering.
I've been in those shoes before when you're seeing somebody like an unknown army sitting across the way. You're like, I don't want to take a peek because I know I could get beamed. And once I get a tag, they're going to push me. So they have that fear in them. I feel that it's a great play to make, though, regardless. The smart disengagement. Live to fight another day, young man.
Yeah, very, very good disengagement. It's just you have to be able to at least respond back a little bit. It's going to be hard to track them the whole way through. We'll live to see another day. And so will a lot of our top trios in the lobby. 4ZR's popping off. I think I just saw Cammy or Teak actually, get another pick as well. Chashi in the middle of the map is not going to be able to make his signature rotations. Another one, I think a full Elam from 4ZR. These guys are eating good before endgame even starts.
Let me go ahead and tell you about Safik's trio here. What's quite interesting. They, like I mentioned, they finished 15th place in the previous FNCS Season 4, but in the reboot round, they finished 9th. So they have experience in that reboot round, but you can see they felt close to that heartbreak. They want to avoid that. Right now, they're sitting at 10th place here. So they have some work to do to get into that top 6. So there's so many different storylines, so many different threads, and Shayo and I would do our best to present them to you today.
It'll be easier to kind of point out as well as the games go closer towards number 6. As we get towards the end of the day, another pick from, I think that's 4ZR again. Actually, it was Nate this time. And there's a few teams. Safik, I think, right next to a top team. Tayson, right next to Trulex, it looks like as well. Everyone's kind of having one big opponent to fight and then a lot of fodder in between.
Yo, Tayson's trios is executing their plan that they like to do in previous rounds, where they kind of create their own dead side by pushing a lot of trios who are late rotating in. So essentially, you're going to see them kind of tag trios, discourage them from on their path, and they're going to keep pushing out. So they like to fight in this zone between the storm side and the safe zone, and they just keep pushing everybody out. The problem that they ran into in the previous rounds is their competitors were the Benji Fishies and the Clements, like a little bit more stronger trios. But in this lobby, like Reese said, this is their opportunity to advance because they had the skills to be able to propel them into that top 6 and already sitting there comfortably.
Their sights are set on low grounds, and even with Benji inside the heat, they have enough room to make everything work because of the lack of other top tier teams. At the same time, these rotations mid-game, they're moving first, they're moving early and fast, and rarely are they even punished. I think now is the worst I've seen them. Tayson and 4ZR really taking a little bit of a beating as they move. But the first man who always moves is usually the one to get those shots and eat them up. Nate is never affected.
And this is what's dangerous about that game plan, is sometimes you do get wounded, you do get tagged. And like I said, in previous rounds, it cost them that top 3 finish here. So far today, sitting in first place with 90 points with a 10-point lead going into this match on Hottie's trio. And that duel has still been going on. First and second still going at it, still alive.
It just looks like they've taken out the word what if from their vocabulary. And yeah, Airwalks down, Chico takes them out. Skite and Vato, I'm not sure exactly what happened over here. It looked like a favorable rotation. They're always moving early off their spot, vibing somewhere central map. As soon as the zone goes central map, they struggle. I'm not sure if the base, the selection, the spot of it isn't favorable to the next zone move, but they're having a bit of trouble. Once again, though, 4-0 Nate Tayson side by side with Jerky Queasy and Trulex. Two very different types of teams too. They're not going to really run into each other in the end game. Queasy will probably end up going for a higher layer, and then 4-0 will stay all the way low ground.
Absolutely. Queasy armed with the peppers, which has been the option for mobility this season. Now you're taking a look in the feed. Mr. J picking up elimination on Jamswood. Force goes down. Force's trio has been near the top 6 on Force's performance here, but so far this game they have been eliminated. Now we're seeing the rest of that Zini, Kasperse, Elder.
They're just gone. Force are like Nate and Tayson. As soon as shots start going down, like before the zone even starts moving, they see the next circle and they're zooming, and no one's punishing them.
It's almost they have like a sixth sense when to rotate. That's so crucial. It's like a, you know, a timer in their head. All right, now it's time to rotate, and look at it. So clean and so free. Now we're gonna take a look on the left side. That is the zone that's presented here for zone 4.